Hi there, this is Ron Gula from Gula Tech Adventures. Today we're going to talk about some high-level incident response terminology that you might hear during an incident. Now, why do we have so many terminologies for ransomware and malware and attackers and so on? It's because we have a lot of different ways to describe the traffic. It's not unlike the blind men and the elephant story, where each of the blind men thought they maybe had a snake or an alligator or a tree trunk, and they were all seeing the same thing, but it was different parts of the big puzzle. One of the most common things you're going to hear an incident responder talk about is file checksums. Now, when you log on to a computer, there are millions of files, and each of those files, believe it or not, has a unique checksum. This checksum can be queried against other databases and threat intelligence feeds to see if anybody else has this. Now, checksums, if you change one little bit, you get a completely different checksum. So some incident responder people will log into a computer and then start searching for files that have certain artifacts. These can be expressed in YARA rules. They can be basically terms to describe the different things inside of a file that, again, gives a different perspective on what those files are. But the signatures and checksums are two different things. And lastly, believe it or not, reverse engineering files is a hard thing to do. So one of the things that you can do is you can just run the file, open it up on special computers, or even track what the activity was on the endpoint computer and see what the behavior of the file was. Now, these behaviors often involve performing DNS lookups or IP address connections. Now, with a DNS lookup, basically, this is how the internet works. Anytime you send email, anytime you go to a website, you are talking to the domain name system where it's converting a name like www.gula.tech to an IP address like 1.2.3.4. Now, malware uses this system too, and a lot of times it will talk to malicious DNS servers, and it will make domain name system queries that are known to be bad. Now, if this is known, this information is going to be shared with the threat intelligence community and incident response community, and people who are doing incident response might want to see if any known bad DNS queries were made. Now, similarly, after every DNS query you get to an IP address, sometimes the IP addresses themselves can be labeled as being malicious. Perhaps they're coming from a certain country, a certain hosting provider. Perhaps it's known to be a bad network of bad information. Now, when you're getting this network traffic, there's a lot of ways you can get it. You have NetFlow, you have network intrusion detection systems, you have firewalls. If you're deploying a zero trust system, you can have logging that way. Many endpoints can log network traffic. And there's even solutions that can do inspection of your encrypted traffic called break and inspect. There's different abilities for each of these different types of logs. And you may not have all these logs to do this kind of analytics. Now, the last thing you might hear an incident responder talk about at a high level is looking for anomalies. So anomalies could be one computer that's running different or has different software configurations at every other computer. It might be different types of behaviors. Perhaps one computer is making connections to a certain country that nobody else is. Detecting these anomalies really depends on having good logs and good network traffic. But an anomaly by itself doesn't necessarily mean that it's a hostile act. The first time you download a new piece of software, it's probably going to connect to its own software's update servers. This is no different than malware talking to its malicious command and control servers for commands. So understanding anomalies is not, you should understand that anomalies is by definition not malicious. It's just something that's unique. I hope this was interesting. If you want to learn more about incident response, cybersecurity, compliance, hygiene, vulnerability management, and so on, please give us a visit at gula.tech, where you can see all of our cybersecurity portfolio companies. Have a great day.